It's the worst of the CBC for October 18th, 2019, the show where I watch the CBC so no one ever has to again, and everyone strap in because this is probably the angriest I've ever been after watching an hour of that nonsense. Okay, it straight out starts. The hour starts with Katie Simpson, this fat sack of lies, just gets up there and said, Andrew Scheer was lying today when he said... Basically, they say Scheer's making stuff up when he said that the Liberals and NDP, if they get into a coalition, would have to raise the GST by 2% in order to pay for all the promises. Now, they then start saying, Conservatives have been lying, but they let Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau lie throughout the entire election cycle, including today, completely unchecked. Why are Jagmeet Singh's lies and complete misunderstanding of economics going unchecked completely? Okay? And they said, Conservatives are lying about a home tax increase. Well, that was leaked in a Liberal MP's own tweet. That was from Adam Vaughan himself. That was from a Liberal MP. All right. I just don't like... You know what? If you're not going to fact-check any of the candidates, don't fact-check any of the candidates and just let them spew things. But when you fact-check one... and dishonestly, and you let the other two lie to your face, this is nonsense. Okay, one of my pet peeves with our entire society and media is Jagmeet Singh's allowed to get up there and talk about raising the minimum wage, 15 in fairness. He said, we need to raise it to 15, and then we're going to bring it up to a living wage. So he doesn't even give any specifics, just a living wage, whatever that means, right? We're allowed to right? This minimum wage talk has gone off, and there's never one economist brought in the CBC. The CBC and CTV and all these things, like we like to inform our viewers, keep them informed. After someone talks about minimum wage, never once have I seen an actual economist. Fine, bring on two. Bring on an NDP economist, which is, I don't know, a homeless person. Bring on two economists, one with an economics degree and another one from an economics degree from France. They don't really teach economics based on numbers in France. And we could talk about this. And someone could just say, hey, okay, the reason why minimum wage increases don't work is because you're thinking in terms of straight money and not what money actually is. Okay, if you are a worker, let's say you're making a sandwich at Subway, and this also applies to people in grocery stores and whatever, your value isn't $10 an hour or $11 an hour or $15 an hour. Your real value is X. It's a function of what you do. Now, in order to make profit, the sandwich Subway sells has to meet a certain equation. Let's just say 2X. So 2 times X, that's what you have to sell the sandwich for in order to make a profit. Really like 1.5X to the, like, it's more complicated. Let's just say it's 2X. Right? If you increase the minimum wage from $10 to $15 and then increase it right over there, right? You're not actually increasing the value of what the worker is doing, right? Instead, in order to make a profit, right? Instead of X being 10, right? X now is 15, which means the sandwich is now 2X. So instead of 20, it's $30. Now, again, these numbers aren't real, but it goes the same thing. So you're increasing the wages of the products, right? You increase minimum wage, product prices go up. And people say, well, I can pay for it, right? I have the money. I don't mind paying the money if someone's going to make a living wage. But it's not just in the Subway sandwich shop, right? This is in the grocery store. This is in the farm. This is at every level of the economy, which means basic food prices. So not just people going to fancy restaurants are going to pay more. Minimum wage hurts people who buy things or eat food. So anyone who eats food over the next year will be affected, okay? So you have an increase in wages. Now let's say we're talking about a federal minimum wage. The idea of a federal minimum wage is patently insane because people in Toronto, to make a living wage, right? How much does rent cost in downtown Toronto, right? A lot more than it costs 2 hours south of Thunder Bay, right? So you're taking the people who live 2 hours south of Thunder Bay in like a small town, and you're taking the people in downtown Toronto, and you're saying, okay, we need to find a living wage. What are you going to do? Average those two? Because nothing against 2 hours out of Thunder Bay, but property prices are lower and everything's price is lower. So if you're saying people in Thunder Bay need to be paid the same minimum wage that people in downtown Toronto are being paid, well, then that's sort of like making the minimum wage downtown Toronto is actually a pretty good living, think of it, in Thunder Bay. So now you're screwing over every small business in Thunder Bay, which means those towns die, which means then they have to go to the big cities to make these wages, which means more people are in the big cities and urban areas, which means property prices skyrocket because there's too much crowding. And then we can't build more property because the environment or something, we declare everything green. It's insane, right? And people are like, it's getting, the cost of living's going out of hand. Why? Why is the cost of living getting out of hand? It's because of these policies. Right? And then we'd say, we need more socialist policies to increase the cost of living more and more and more and more. So Jagmeet Singh just out to abjectly lie, right? And spit misinformation. And we're gonna get this money. Where does Jagmeet Singh get the money? We're gonna tax the super wealthy, people with fortunes over $20 million. All right. Another thing they don't say is Justin Trudeau increased the tax on the 1%, and revenue went down. Government revenue went down when we increased taxes. No one mentions this, right? No one mentions the fact that we increased this tax and revenue went down because people took their money out and businesses died. And people who were employing people were able to employ less people, and you got less taxes from people being employed. The economy is not a single variate analysis that they keep doing. It's always a univariate, simple analysis that they portray as a massive economic study to prove a Liberal or NDP point. And I'm sick and tired of it. What's Jagmeet Singh going to do for the fortunes of 20 million? What, confiscate the wealth? How do we get this money from the wealthy? Are we going to tax the fortunes they've already accrued? Right? So you're basically saying we can confiscate people's wealth is what the NDP plan starts on. Because again, no one's asking for the specifics of this NDP plan. He kind of sounds like wealth confiscation. Okay, if we're going to make the precedent that you could confiscate large amounts of wealth from the rich only, don't worry, poor people, who's going to invest in Canada? What foreign national, what person in their sane mind would invest their money in Jagmeet Singh's Canada? Or Jagmeet Singh, Justin Trudeau coalition of Canada? What sane person? Everyone, if they had half a brain, would take all their money out of Canada if Jagmeet Singh got a sniff near power. And then the economy and everyone would make less money. And they'd say, oh, I don't know why. Why? This is why. And the fact that we don't have an economist on the CBC explaining this ever it's a travesty. It's an utter joke. It makes the whole media is a joke. And then we have to talk more about Trump and Trump's impeachment. How about the fact that SNC-Lavalin, we're talking about lies? How about the fact that Justin Trudeau lies consistently when he said he's protecting Canadian jobs because SNC-Lavalin said those jobs are never in trouble. So Justin Trudeau, the biggest omission, talking about Trump, Justin Trudeau made a private law for his corporate friends who were his personal donors to both his personal foundation and his political campaign. Then they gave him a personal law, and when the independent prosecutor wouldn't give it to him, he fired the attorney general and tried to overtake the judiciary in order to make a personal law for his corporate friends. This is absolutely patently insane. It's patently insane, and this is probably the worst hour of my life. My blood pressure is 8 million over 5 billion. I don't know it's bad. It's bad right now. So what does this CBC get on the Rosemary Barton scale? 11 out of 10. 11 out of 10. More. A billion. A billion out of 10 on the Rosemary Barton scale of bias. It was so frustrating. And listen, anyone who wants to defund the CBC, you're all a bunch of pussies. You're all a bunch of pussies and cowards. We don't want no more defunding the CBC. I want to deport the CBC. I want to deport every single person in the CBC newsroom. I want to send them all with the UN to North Korea. I don't care who. Katie Simpson's still there. We're going to get a forklift and we're going to take her all the way to North Korea because that's what it's there. So defund the CBC? No. Deport the CBC. I'll see you all tomorrow.